Prosecutors will continue calling witnesses in just a couple of hours today in the Kim Potter trial. The now former Brooklyn Center police officer charged with manslaughter in the death of Daunte Wright. Potter shot and killed him during a traffic stop last April. She said she meant to use her taser, not her gun.
And we now turn to criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who is not affiliated with the case. Give us a little context here. Joe, what do you expect to happen this week?
Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Jason. Well, this week the prosecution will wrap up its case. The case is going along pretty quickly. They've called 14 witnesses in a little over 2 days, which means even if they call another 14 or perhaps 20 witnesses, they should be done on Wednesday or probably the latest Thursday morning. So it's going pretty quickly.
Joe, in testimony on Friday, we've really completed this process of really a discussion over what happened, which I'm curious for your insight, because it seems like everyone largely agrees on the specifics of what happened during the traffic stop. How much do you think what we've heard and seen will impact the jury's decision, which to me anyway seems to be a decision more as to whether there was recklessness or that side of this, more of an expert side case?
Well, you're right. It is more of an expert side case because the jury has to decide whether or not, from everything we know, and you're right, everything we know is now out there. We've seen so many of the videos. We've seen what happened. And so based on the experts as well as Ms. Potter's testimony, because as we know, the defense attorneys have said she will testify, and that could happen at the end of this week or perhaps early next week. And it really will come down to, will the jury believe that she acted completely accidentally and without recklessness? If they do, she will be found not guilty.
Joe, on Friday we heard from Potter's supervisor talking about the use of force, and he thought it was warranted in that case. He's not a use of force expert, of course, but he did say that. This week is when we expect to hear from the prosecution's use of force expert. What impact does that have, and then what does that mean for their use of force expert coming up this week?
Well, that's a great point, because you're quite right that when Major Johnson testified on Friday, he was allowed to give an expert opinion. The prosecution didn't object, and what he stated was that, in his opinion, Ms. Potter could have used force by a firearm under the exigent circumstances or the emergency circumstances that were present. But the state's real expert is coming up this week. That's Professor Seth Stoughton. He's from University in South Carolina. He testified in the Chauvin case about 7 months ago for the prosecution. And so we'll see what he says, but I would imagine they're calling him to talk about how, based on training, based on experience, she should have known whether or not she was grabbing a taser or a gun.
Does it matter at all, this idea that Kim Potter would have been justified if she intentionally had gotten out her gun and shot? Does that matter legally at all?
Yes, it would, because if, in fact, the state cannot prove that this was appropriate use of force, if, in fact, the jury believes, well, in this situation, she could have used the gun intentionally, then it would obviate or would really negate the issue of whether this was a mistake or an accident. So it does have an impact in the case.
Joe, we know still yet to testify, or at least on the list to testify, are Daunte Wright's father and Daunte Wright's brother. Would we expect to hear from them at this point this week?
Well, we've already heard some spark of life testimony, and that was Mr. Wright's mother. And she gave powerful testimony, and obviously she was very distraught and emotional, and we all saw that. The prosecution can surely call other spark of life witnesses, and if they do, they would basically say the same things, which is about Mr. Wright's life, how he was a living, breathing person, he had a family, he had a child. So they could testify. I don't know if the state will call both of those witnesses, but likely at least one.
Joe Tamburino, thank you. We'll be watching today as Joe and Frank Vassalero anchor our coverage on CBSM Minnesota. They provide the insight when court takes a break or goes into a sidebar.